You must have at least 1,000 listings on Etsy, but listings that are not working hurt your shop. These two Etsy myths contradict and they stress out people the most. So I want to look into the pros and cons for each. And then at the end, I'm going to share the action steps, not only that I recommend, but that I'm actually doing in my Etsy shop right now. And I'm already starting to see the results of it in bringing my shop back to life after over a month on vacation mode. So the big one, you must have 1,000 listings. First thing people believe here is that the algorithm really loves it. So let's think about it. What is the Etsy algorithm? It's the programs that Etsy has put in place to take what a buyer searches in the search bar on Etsy and show them the best listings that they're most likely to buy. These are complicated and costly processes. The algorithm is a big deal. So Etsy only wants to program things into it that will benefit the customer. So is there any benefit to the customer of a shop having 1,000 listings? And the answer is absolutely no. If you make 1,000 listings, it doesn't make any one of your listings any better. It doesn't make an individual listing better. And also, as you've seen in my This Etsy Shop series, which if you haven't, check it out if I remember to link it, there are plenty of top selling shops that don't have 1,000 listings. Now, there's probably a reason for why this myth came up, and we'll talk about it, but it is of no benefit to the algorithm. And yeah, many of the biggest shops have 1,000 listings. So does that not prove it? Well, as we just said, not every single one of the biggest shops have 1,000 listings. And is it chicken and egg? Do the biggest shops have 1,000 listings because it helps the algorithm, or do they have lots and lots of listings because they're selling well, they have time and money to put into their shop, so they've just been able to build things up over time? It gives you lots of chances to experiment. Now this is the one, and this is probably why the myth had happened, because there will be people, including these top shops, that get more and more and more listings. And what happens is, if every new listing or every batch of listings you create, you have a goal in mind, you're experimenting with something, you're taking what worked before and trying to make it better, then you're throwing a lot of spaghetti at the wall, but you're learning from your spaghetti chucking, and you're getting better at it until finally you know how to make batches of spaghetti that sticks. There is something to be said for when you're just starting out, you don't know what you don't know. So the chances of your first listing being amazing is fairly low. Sure, it happens to some people. Some people win the lottery. So your chances of actually hitting on the perfect listing right away are pretty low. And even if you make a really good listing, sometimes it's also time and place. When you publish a listing, it gets a little boost in search, so Etsy shows it to a few more people. So there's a luck factor there if you happen to be seen by just the right person at the right time. So the more listings you're creating, the more chance of being seen by the right person. But of course, 1,000 rubbish listings that nobody likes are not going to do well. But is it possible that lots of listings that are not selling are actually hurting your shops? Could it be off-putting to buyers? Now, I think there's a good chance of this. If you have a shop that's filled with lots of conflicting items, confusing items, some really bad items, it could very well put them off purchasing, because it'll potentially devalue the item they liked in their eyes, because they're looking and saying, well, that one looks kind of quality, but look at all the rest that are a bit not quality. Another problem is it can be hard to keep a track of. I'm guilty of this. I've built up and made lots of listings over the years, and I can't always remember what was the point of that listing I made. And another thing I've heard, people who have physical items, if you don't have your stock keeping in place, how many times, like, hands up everybody who's done this. You've made an order and suddenly you panic because you cannot remember where the item was. I've been in houses with so many sellers nowadays that they get a ka-ching and the color drains from their face. They have no memory if that they still have that item. And then there's the other argument that the algorithm will hate it. In a reason for this, Etsy has told us that there's a sort of authority. They say how they tell when you create a new listing in your shop, how they tell how it'll do is based on how other similar listings in your shop have done before. So if you have lots of listings that are doing terribly in your shop, if you make a new listing, will Etsy say, oh, Pam's shop is actually really terrible for that thing, and just never give you a chance? Can you have negative authority? Now, again, if we look at top shops, they actually will always have lots of listings that don't do really well. They'll have several listings that do fantastically, and they'll have lots of listings that don't do great. If you keep on creating lots and lots of listings, there is a possibility that you'll poison the well for the algorithm. I can't say, I haven't seen enough tests on that. I don't think that is a case. But if you have a listing that the Etsy's tested and it's not doing well and it's been sitting in your shop for months, years, it's getting no impressions, Etsy's not showing it to anybody because it wasn't good enough, then Etsy is getting no positive or negative feedback from that listing. It's just sitting there. So it's not actually hurting the authority of your shop if it's not been getting views for absolutely ages. So now, there's no correct answer here, and nobody has the correct answer, because we've seen there are some top shops that have thousands of listings. There are some top shops that have a couple of listings. So nobody's right or wrong. But on balance, my thoughts here are experiments are good. So building up, trying different things, making different listings, testing for different keywords, testing for photography, testing for price ranges, testing for types of listing if I want to add different variations, all sorts of things. These are good, but then having a regular cull before the shop gets too unwieldy is good. So, what to do here? Always look at a big enough time period. So what I'm doing, as it's 2025 has just started, I'm looking at the whole of last year. If you only ever dive into and look at what happened at a short period of time that you just don't have enough data from, you can't draw great conclusions. If you have a super busy shop that's getting hundreds and thousands of views, perhaps you can do this monthly. Most of us probably would not be wanting to look at less than a quarter, a 3-month period. However, I've got the data. I'm going with a whole year because I confess I haven't been doing this enough. You want to go into your Etsy shop stats, pick the time period last year, and then go all the way to the end to the listings that have had little to no views in the past year. And I'm going to do several things with these listings. For physical listings that I actually have to hand, it is a great time for a clear out with a sale. So I'm going to pop these into a sale category. For the things that don't fit in my shop anymore, like digital items, I'm just trashing these. I am deactivating these listings right away. Is it going to hurt my shop to have them there? Probably not, but if someone comes for a needle felted dog, do they want my old digital sketches? Probably not. For items that are based on keywords that I discovered in my start of year research, and if you haven't checked, see my video on that, I'm going to try giving them a makeover. Let's see if I can revive them. Let's see what happens. Because bear in mind, I've just been letting these run and forgetting about them, so they might still have some life in them. And there are some items that I look at and they are okay. Again, they might just not have been lucky. So, what I'm going to be doing with them is I switch them to manual renew so they don't get to the 4 months and just automatically pay that 20 cents and carry on. And I'm going to give them one last chance. I'm going to renew them. I'm going to post about them on social media, give them a real final chance to shine. Then they'll go expired in 4 months, and I can assess if there was anything that worked. If some photos were liked, a couple of keywords did okay, and can I use that data to create my next listings? It is possible. I have many times revived listings from the dead just by waking them up at a good time of year. I would never advise that renewing constantly is a great strategy. There is a law of diminishing returns there. But if you're giving your listings a refresh, if you're aiming for a new keyword or something, you can absolutely do that to ask Etsy to have a look at them again. So I'm culling listings that definitely don't fit in my shop. I'm giving listings that were kind of okay, a bit of a refresh and a run again. And I'm going to come back and look at these in 4 months. And over the course of the rest of this quarter, I'm going to keep doing this, going further and further, more searched, going higher up in my stats for listings that were not doing as well as I would like. And that's going to be my plan. And then now that I've got a plan in place, hopefully things will do a little bit better. And even I've started doing this just a couple of weeks, and you can see there's a nice step up in my stats. So let me know how you're going to work on your listings. What are you doing with those dead ones? Are you reviving them? Are you just trashing them? Or are you sticking them on sale? I hope that helped, and I'll see you next time.